Morro Bay, California, also known as the Gibraltar of the Pacific, is a picturesque seaside village approximately 225 miles northwest of Los Angeles, California. Hugh and Dian Harlin lived and worked in Morro Bay, with Hugh working as a fisherman from time to time. Morro Bay businesswoman and resident Catherine Cordero knew him well. Quote, "There were a number of times he would stop by our business. We would be unloading fish and he'd roll up his sleeves and pitch in. And 6 or 7 to 10 hours later, when we're finally done, he wouldn't take any money for his help. He wasn't just a weirdo. He might have been weird at times, but he wasn't a weirdo." According to reports, Dian Harlin frivolously spent what little money they had earned. This led to frequent bitter arguments between Hugh and Dian. According to Catherine Cordero, it led to more than one bitter argument. Quote, "They weren't getting along very well, and Dian would do bizarre things, including opening a can of dog food and serving it to Hugh for dinner. In addition to the money issues the couple had, it was also said that Dian cared more for her dogs than she did Hugh. Dian was actually known around town as the dog lady. This also led to tension between the couple. On October 13th, 1982, the badly decomposed body of a woman was found just off the beach of Morro Bay. Police could not immediately identify her, but they did discover and identify the murder weapon used. According to Detective Manny Silva of the Morro Bay Police Department, the victim had been strangled with a dog leash. Quote, "The investigators immediately put out a news media release with a description asking for the public's assistance identifying this individual. Later in the evening, the department was contacted by a Hugh Harlin. Hugh Harlin was shown several pieces of jewelry, and he identified that jewelry as belonging to his wife Dian. When questioned by police, Hugh said that Dian had been away from home for the past 12 days. He said that he wasn't worried when he heard a body was found in the area, but then his story began to change. First, he told detectives that the night Dian disappeared, the dogs had come home with their leashes on. Then he said the dogs were not wearing leashes when they came home. Detective Silva said, quote, "When Hugh Harlin changed his story, the investigators began to look more closely at him as a possible suspect. Catherine Cordero even questioned Hugh. Quote, I asked him, I said, Hugh, a lot of people suspect you. And did you kill her? I know she's bizarre and I know she tried to push your buttons. Did you do it? He said he didn't do it. I knew when he answered that question he was telling the truth. After an investigation, Hugh was ruled out as a suspect to his wife's murder. It was now 1986. 4 years passed without any information about Dian's death. Then, on November 1st, 1986, Hugh went to a friend's house to borrow some tools for an upcoming construction job. Hugh set off for San Simeon, 27 miles north of Morro Bay. Hugh's friend, Steve Matthew, said he soon received a disturbing phone call. The next thing we knew, I had gotten a phone call from a mutual friend in Cambria, wondering why Hugh's truck was sitting off the side of the road and had been for a day or so. Cambria, California is another small town on the coast of California, about a 15-minute drive south from San Simeon. Hugh would have had to drive through Cambria to get to San Simeon. Steve Matthews said he and a friend, Eddie Grimes, drove to Cambria to check out the report of Hugh's abandoned truck. Quote, I got curious as to what was going on. I took a look inside, I saw Hugh's glasses on the dash, and I saw a couple of his tins on the dash. One was tobacco, and one was just some ragweed pot that he smoked quite regularly. All of these things weren't really adding up to me, since 3 or so days had transpired since the last time I'd seen him, and this is basically the way he had left. Before Steve and Eddie returned to Morro Bay, they looked around the area to see if they could find anything else out of the ordinary. While searching, they found Hugh's truck keys. Quote, it was at that point that I had decided that there was just too many elements involved here to be a straight-up situation. Detective Bill Womack of the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Office is quoted saying, there are several possibilities as to what could have happened to Mr. Harlan. Number one, he simply could have staged his disappearance. He knows he had been at one time questioned regarding the homicide of his wife. Steve Matthews thinks it's a possibility. I totally believe that Hugh was smart enough and crafty enough to engineer his own disappearance, and just in exactly this manner. The thing that I've never been able to decide is if that's actually what he did, or if there was some foul play here. Detective Manny Silva thinks Hugh was hiding a secret of his own. Quote, Hugh Harlan, I knew, I believe, and I think the investigators at the time believed knew more about the case than he was telling them. And my concern is that he was possibly harmed by some individual who may very well have harmed Dian Harlin. To this day, the strange case of both Dian and Hugh Harlin remains unsolved.